guys, welcome back to another episode of What of the World Blew Up. We will be seeing episode 29 of the series. My god, we are getting through these quickly. Well, at least I am. I recorded like 3 in 2 days. So anyways, let's just get into it. Tensions are still mounting in the Europe, but they haven't bubbled over yet. That'll probably take a few episodes. So if we get to the other areas, in the Caucasus, the Russians will continue to make advances, and they will move to encircle the capital city. And then the troops will be forced to kind of push back, and they will be forced to make a cut off and try to push them back in these fronts. But this will allow them to get more territory closer to the capital city. So, and the Caucasians are going to try to take back this territory, which will reopen the encirclement fronts, but it's not as successful anymore because, well, like there's less stuff. The Caucasians are holding off, and I just want to state something. This 7 years war, if it does happen, it's not going to be at the same time as for us. Like, at this point, it's maybe 1640, 1650. At this point in time, that's me telling you that. So Caucasia is continuing to hold off the advances. They're doing a pretty good job at this. So yeah. And Neutral really doesn't want to get caught in the crossfire, but they kind of probably will. And there'll be a new faction being formed by like peace-wanting nations, not more. I mean, just kind of like safety-wanting nations. The Diamond Squad will be formed between Poland and these guys. This is meant to be like another pact, so then they can defend each other because of these rising tensions are becoming really unbearable. They will tell all nations that want to stay out of this massive conflict that is brewing to join them, and they will get 2 members, the Iberian nation and this new Red nation. So there is now there's 3 factions going across this, I guess, thing. There's 3 factions, which is getting pretty intense. All of them are trying to influence Neutral, which is really dumb because they're neutral. Because Neutral is probably the strongest nation that hasn't chosen a side because they're neutral. But okay, they're not joining a side because, well, they're neutral. So I guess that's like the point. And they're because they're like number 12th on the leaderboard. So, and they are probably the strongest non-aligned members now. So Europe is becoming more and more intense, and as one war could spark the massive conflict, as over here in Asia we're going to have something happening. There'll be a purchasing of land by this brown puppet state of the Chinese. They will buy some of this territory from these guys, just because I really hate those borders so much. But I haven't got rid of it for like 10 episodes, so I guess I'm a hypocrite. But these guys, a rebellion will appear in the Bangladesh country. The Bangladesh country is on a steady decline, as they just can't let go of like the past, because they have outdated technology and stuff. So these parts of the nation will break away and form their own state, their own independent state. And the Bangladesh government will not accept this, so they will fight them, and they will make some minor gains but they will hold out. And this orange country, seeing Bangladesh fighting their own citizens, will leave the Triangle Alliance. So will this bigger one in the north, because they wouldn't fight their own people. Like, what? Why would you do that? And then and then they will begin to push into them. But then these two nations will start funding this one, as they see this as a dictator now, because they kind of are, just like a dictator, I guess. And these guys will start funding them, which was enough to make this front stalemate. And then these guys will end up putting the capital in the middle of Sri Lanka. So Bangladesh is slowly getting weaker, as they probably fall into the number 3-ish spot now. They probably fall into the number 3 spot behind the Dutch and France. Maybe not the Dutch. Probably Japan. But talking about Japan will make a weird decision, very weird decision, to sell off this colony. They are looking for a buyer very quickly for some reason. So they will there is a few buyers. 1, the Dutch, and 2, the French. So they will both buy their own portions of this area. They will buy their own. What the hell? Why does my thing do that? So they will each buy their own portion, with the Dutch buying this kind of area along this California area, with them taking that, and then these guys buying the rest. So Japan, why the hell did you sell that, I guess? Why did you sell it? And seeing this with their new border, the Dutch will just go ahead and annex this, as there's no point for it anymore. And these guys and the French might take it, so yeah. The French are getting really big in North America, so that's just something. So now we've got to go see why Japan decided to sell this now we've got to go see why Japan decided to sell this so quickly. Oh, holy crap. Japan has been split into 2 sections. Well, I guess 3, because you count this. But there's now 3 parties, and now we can see why Japan needed to sell this so much, because, like, I guess they needed money to fight this. So Japan will begin to fight these guys. So, yeah, slowly but surely. They will manage to... The front lines in Japan, in the main island, will kind of stalemate, as this is both of them is the main base. But on this side of the thing, on like this area, Japan will quickly win out on the main Asian areas. Japan will quickly win out. But the Chinese, seeing this, well, I guess the Koreans, will decide to attack Japan to gain territory, and they will cut off Japanese supply lines. So yeah, then they will take the rest of this northern area. Japan is left with kind of just South Korea now. So that's not good. Oh, you've just lost South Korea. That is super not good. Japan? What are you doing, Japan? Japan, like, what? Japan is doing a bad job at doing this. Japan will, and then they will steadily start losing ground. So what they will do is they will decide to just start bombing themselves with the scorched earth tactic, and for some reason they're just bombing everything. Like, they just throw bombers. They just have a line of people at the border just throwing bombs over the border. Like, I don't get the point of this, but okay. So this is a mess. We'll get back to this in a minute, or in the next episode probably. So yeah, so in Africa there is you can see a problem here. This nation here will attack this purple one and take its capital and annex it into them before a breakaway state will break away from them and basically just fuck everything up. Okay, that's not going pretty well. That's not going too well. And that will be it for here. And down here we'll have the Horn of Africa update, where the green team has taken this land, and they will pull a rabbit out of the hat, and they will attack this country, proving to be very powerful, taking their capital city. Whoa. Yes, they just take it. Yes, it's dead now. Now this country goes without a capital city. Horn of Africa update. Done. I want comment in the comment section below which one of these nations you are rooting for, or which ones you don't want to, or you're not rooting for, so I can destroy the ones you don't like. So I can just destroy those ones. I personally really like the green one and the purple one, but I'm not gonna have them be the strongest because that'd be cool having a bias. But back in the Caucasus regions, the Russians have made yet another push towards this area, and these guys are calling for help. And what will happen is that the diamonds will say, yeah, help us. If we help you win this war, you will join our alliance. And these guys will agree. So these guys will start secretly supplying these guys with weapons and stuff, and maybe soldiers. And these guys will slowly manage to push back. This is what they managed to do within a few months. They managed to push them back, and they do substantial damage. They managed to beat them up. What the? But the Russians do manage to have a holdout in the south regions, here. And they can't really push them out because they are really just getting stuck here, as the Russians have major defenses here, and they managed to get pushed into, yeah, okay. So these guys will try to push them back everywhere else though, and then they will launch an attack towards this, which will be super successful, and it will force Russians to pull back out of the south areas, or at least some of them, so they can defend the better. And then the Russians will manage to push them back out of this area. But it was a big success for them. And the Russians are in 2 alliances, so just keep that in mind. Russians continue to lose ground slowly and surely. The Russians proceed to lose ground, and they will slowly manage to be pushed out of the Caucasian nation, with slowly but surely making less and less gains and losing territory. After about a year of them helping, this is kind of what they take. A few nations in Europe that aren't in alliances will just kind of begin to panic as their nation is being influenced by 3 different parties, being the diamonds, the hexagons, and the triple stars. So this is just chaos at the moment. Any small thing could cause the war, or the war. But slowly but surely, different members will kind of start slowly pulling out, how slowly but surely this red country will pull out of the alliance, and so will this purple one. So which just leaves them with the Iberians and Poland, which is not ideal. And in neutral, everything is going to chaos. Everything is chaos. Neutral is on the brink of a civil war due to political divides, due to influence by outside nations, meant having a civil war, as a breakaway state will appear along the Russian border areas in the north, and another breakaway will appear borders of the triple stars. I wonder who could be supplying this one. And then another one will appear along the border, another one of the diamonds, and now there is there's like a civil war in this nation. The government still has control of the majority of the nation, so they are going to be able to hopefully hold them off for a while. They will immediately call these alliances out for causing this monstrosity of a mess, but they will deny all responsibility. I don't really know how we're meant to deny it when there's literally freaking stuff going through their land, but okay. As more and more rebels will just kind of appear out of their land. As the government will do a pretty good job at pushing these guys out in the north. Remember, these guys are almost as strong as Russia. Like, no, literally, they are just like a little bit weaker. They are like, I'd say 10-20% weaker than Russia. So they are still pretty strong. And even with the Russian support, the rebels won't be able to hold them off. As this nation will just plummet into chaos. As like, there are spies and everything, it's just a mess. But the two rebels here will start fighting each other. I guess that the triple stars and this thing will start fighting each other over this. And the triple stars ones will end up beating these guys, as they are stronger. And then they will encircle positions and they will take out this area, and then they will take out these rebels. So now there's two rebels in there. Neutral country is just like, why? Like neutral states to all nations, but if they don't realize, they probably should, but causing the civil war is only going to weaken neutral, so even if they did win, they're going to have a weak ally, so, because that's kind of true, honestly. So yeah, they will cause a massive push into the west. The western parts of neutral have fallen into the rebels' hands, and then they will set up a defensive areas because they realize they can't really hold these guys off forever because the triple stars are stronger than them. So they will put up a line of probably about 50,000 troops with guns on a massive like wall with just firing and like pew 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 at anybody that like comes across them. They just kind of like pew pew pew. So they will set up massive defenses in the west as they focus the mass of their army on the east, which is not good, as the rebels in the east can't hold them off, as they don't have all the Russian army on the side. If they did, they'd probably be able to win, but they can't. And now they are cut off and supply lines are getting weak. Neutral is able to push these guys out of these areas. They'll manage to get pushed out in the northern parts of Neutral Nation, which is a weird name. But then they will slither along down to the border of Romania, where they will strengthen their resistance, and then they'll push more down the border of Romania, and then they'll strengthen their resistance down here. They are basically just fleeing as the army chases them through, as the neutral army gets chasing them through, and they slowly manage to push them back down to the south areas. So, and then there's going to be a madman who goes through the wall or the defences in the east and ravages and just takes tons of territory back in the west. This was like a crazy guy for this guy. And these guys will be like, whoa, why? How did you do this? And then neutral will, when this area back here falls over, they will set up a new defensive line along the new front line. So they will manage to hold them off for a while they finish off the east. They will decide to cut them off by stationing, because they realise that they're going to go like here next. So they station a secret force there as this one goes down this area. So they will manage to push them all the way back down to here. And you guessed it, these guys tried to flee up this way. and they flee up this way. But then they find the wall of troops that they left there, and these guys are like, what? And then they get smoked. So, and then they just lose their like thing, and then they get taken by these guys. And then they will focus their attention to the west, and they defeat these rebels. Neutral is safe. With minimal damage, surprisingly. They didn't take as much damage, because like, they managed to hold off most of the damage from their cities, like, which are all mainly, the main cities and stuff are in the center. Like, it was most of, like, 80, like, let's say, we're gonna say 75% of the population lives within this circle. So everything was kind of out here that was destroyed, so it didn't really affect most of the population, so that's good. And the Romanian economy is going to crash from this event. Like, literally, their economy is going to crash. And this is irony at its finest. They will be forced to sell some of their land to Neutral to manage to get their funds back up. So they just funded rebels in Neutral, and they were the ones that ended up having to give land to Neutral, not the other way around. So it's just funny. As Neutral is getting recovery and going pretty quickly. So, okay guys, that's about it for this episode.